Microsoft is stealing your data. When upgrading to Windows 11, you're probably going to be scrolling directly to the bottom of the terms of service, but Microsoft hid a tiny detail in there, allowing them to collect and share personal data of yours with multiple third parties. YouTube channel The PC Security Channel even analyzed DNS traffic generated by a brand new copy of Windows 11, and before they even browsed the internet, enough data was transmitted for them to refer to the operating system as spyware. They've gone on to clarify that telemetry data can be turned off in the Windows settings, but it doesn't change the fact that they aren't being upfront about the fact that
January 2025, security researcher David Chen publishes something that should alarm every Windows 11 user. He monitored his fresh Windows 11 installation for 48 hours, didn't browse anything sensitive, didn't install sketchy software, just normal use, email, web browsing, document editing. His firewall captured every single data transmission leaving his computer. The results are genuinely disturbing. Windows 11 sent 3,604 data packets to Microsoft servers in 48 hours. That's one transmission every 2.4 minutes, even when he wasn't actively using the computer, even with all privacy settings configured to maximum. The telemetry you can't actually disable
Windows 11 has some pretty bad features that are truly privacy invading. From a Windows recall that records everything you do on the computer to new telemetry that can
Windows 11 has 3 telemetry settings: required, optional, and off. Except off doesn't actually mean off. Microsoft's own documentation admits that even with telemetry disabled, Windows 11 still sends required diagnostic data to Microsoft servers. What's required diagnostic data? Microsoft won't specify exactly. Their privacy policy lists categories, but not specifics. Security researchers analyzing network traffic found that required telemetry includes way more than basic diagnostic information. Your hardware configuration, every application you install, how long you use each app, when you turn your computer on and off, what websites you visit through Edge browser, your location data from IP address, connected device information, file names and recently accessed documents. Sarah is a freelance writer. She works with confidential client information under NDAs. She discovered Windows 11 was logging the names of every document she opened, not the contents, but the file names. Several file names contained client names and project details. That information was being transmitted to Microsoft servers. She had no idea until she ran network monitoring software. The privacy policy didn't clearly explain this was happening. There was no obvious setting to stop it. She switched to Linux because she literally cannot comply with her NDAs while using Windows 11, the Microsoft account requirement that steals your privacy. Windows 11. Home requires a Microsoft account. You can't install it without one. That requirement isn't about convenience, it's about data collection. Your Microsoft account links everything you do on your computer to your identity. Microsoft knows exactly who you are, what you're doing, when you're doing it. Before, you could use a local account. Your computer activity stayed local. Now, Microsoft forces cloud integration. Your settings sync to their servers. Your OneDrive gets configured automatically. Your files start uploading without explicit permission. Everything gets tied to your identity and stored on Microsoft's servers. Marcus tried to install Windows 11 without a Microsoft account. The installer wouldn't proceed. He searched for workarounds, found one using command prompt tricks during installation. It worked. He created a local account. 2 weeks later, a Windows update changed his local account to a Microsoft account without asking. Just converted it automatically. Linked everything to the cloud. He discovered this when he got an email from Microsoft about OneDrive storage being full. Files he never chose to upload were now on Microsoft's servers. He had to manually delete them and reconfigure everything. This isn't user-friendly design. This is forced data collection. The recall feature, that's literal spyware. Windows 11's recall feature is the most invasive surveillance tool ever built into a consumer operating system. It takes screenshots of everything you do every few seconds, stores them in a searchable database, uses AI to analyze and index them. Microsoft markets it as a productivity feature so you can search your activity history. Security researchers call it comprehensive surveillance. The database includes screenshots of your banking information, every password you've typed, every private message, every confidential document, everything you've done. On your computer, sitting in a database. The early implementation wasn't even properly encrypted. Any malware with local access could steal the entire database. Months of everything you've done on your computer. That's not a feature. That's a security catastrophe. Jennifer is a therapist. She does video sessions with patients, takes session notes. All confidential medical information protected by HIPAA. She discovered Recall was taking screenshots of her therapy sessions. Patient faces visible. Session notes captured. Diagnoses recorded. All stored in a database on her computer. If that database was ever accessed, she'd lose her license. Patients could sue. She could face criminal charges for HIPAA violations. She immediately disabled Recall, then formatted her computer and switched to Mac because she can't trust Windows 11 with patient information. The settings that don't actually work.
You know that piece of spyware that Microsoft was trying to bake into Windows? Do you recall it? Well, the story keeps getting worse. Microsoft paused rolling this feature out because it wasn't safe enough. It's expected to remake its debut to beta testers next month, but one of the things that was seen in the latest patch on Windows 11 was that you'd be able to turn Recall off from the control panel, a feature a lot of people would love. But Microsoft decided that's an oopsie and that it shouldn't be there. You're not supposed to be able to turn Recall off, so it's a bug and will be fixed in an upcoming update. Thanks, Microsoft.
Windows 11 has dozens of privacy settings. Most of them don't work as described. You can disable app permissions for camera and microphone, but Windows still allows certain apps to access them. You can disable location services. Windows still tracks your location through IP, address, and Wi-Fi networks. You can disable advertising, i.e. Windows still profiles you for ads using other identifiers. Security researcher Kevin Beaumont tested this extensively. He configured Windows 11 with every privacy setting maximized, disabled everything possible, then monitored network traffic for a week. Windows still sent enormous amounts of data to Microsoft servers, encrypted, so he couldn't see exact contents. But the volume and frequency indicated comprehensive tracking was still happening despite settings claiming it was disabled. The settings create an illusion of privacy control. They make users feel like they've protected themselves, but the actual data collection continues regardless. That's worse than not having settings at all. It's deliberately misleading users about what's actually happening. The OneDrive invasion you didn't agree. Windows 11 aggressively pushes OneDrive integration. Your desktop, documents, and pictures folders automatically get set to sync with OneDrive. Windows doesn't clearly ask permission. It just starts doing it. Your personal files uploading to Microsoft's cloud without explicit consent. David keeps financial documents in his Documents folder, tax returns, bank statements, investment records, sensitive information he never intended to put in the cloud. Windows 11 started uploading everything to OneDrive automatically. He didn't realize until he got a notification that his OneDrive storage was full. Hundreds of confidential financial documents were now on Microsoft's servers. He had to manually delete them and disable OneDrive integration, but those files already existed in Microsoft's backup systems. Once uploaded, you can't guarantee they're fully deleted. This is data exfiltration disguised as a feature, taking files from your computer and putting them on corporate servers without clear consent. Calling it backup or sync doesn't change what's actually happening. It's unauthorized data collection. The Copilot monitoring everything you do. Windows 11's Copilot AI assistant has access to everything on your computer. Your files, your emails, your browsing history, your documents. It needs that access to provide contextual assistance. But that access creates massive privacy risks. Copilot sends queries to Microsoft's cloud services for processing. That means snippets of your data leave your computer regularly. Security researcher Sarah Chen analyzed Copilot's network traffic, found it sending file names, document excerpts, email subjects, and search queries to Microsoft servers for AI processing. Not full documents, just metadata and snippets. But that's enough to violate confidentiality, enough to leak sensitive information, enough to create legal liability for anyone handling confidential data. Any lawyer handling privileged communications can't use Copilot, any doctor with patient data, any accountant with client information, any business with trade secrets. Copilot's data transmission makes Windows 11 unsuitable for professional use with confidential information. What you actually need to do. If you must use Windows 11, here's how to minimize tracking. First, don't use Windows 11 Home. Use Pro or Enterprise where you can disable more tracking through group policy. Second, never sign in with a Microsoft account. Use local accounts only. Yes, it's harder to set up. Do it anyway. Third, disable telemetry through group policy, not through settings. Settings doesn't actually work. You need Group Policy Editor to truly disable diagnostic data collection. Fourth, uninstall or disable Copilot completely. The privacy risks outweigh any productivity benefits. Fifth, disable OneDrive integration. Don't let Windows sync your files to Microsoft's cloud. Sixth, use a firewall to block Windows from phoning home. Applications like Portmaster or Safing let you see and block every connection Windows tries to make. You'll be shocked how many tracking connections Windows attempts constantly. Seventh, disable recall entirely. Don't just not use it. Fully disable the feature through system settings. Eighth, use browsers other than Edge. Edge sends everything you do to Microsoft. Use Firefox or Brave with privacy extensions. Ninth, regularly check what data Windows has collected and delete it through Microsoft's privacy dashboard. 10th, seriously consider whether you actually need Windows 11. Linux is viable for most use cases now. Mac respects privacy better. Windows 11's surveillance might not be worth the convenience. The brutal truth about Windows 11. Windows 11 isn't an operating system that happens to collect some data. It's a surveillance platform that happens to run applications. Every design decision prioritizes data collection over user privacy. Windows 11 is free to upgrade because you're the product. Your information is the revenue stream. The operating system is just the mechanism to collect that information at scale. You're being tracked every minute you use Windows 11. Every application you open, every file you access, every website you visit, every word you type. All collected, all analyzed, all monetized. The privacy settings don't stop this. They just make you feel better while the tracking continues. If you value privacy, Windows 11 is not your operating system. It's fundamentally incompatible with actual privacy. The tracking is built into the core architecture. You can minimize it. You can't eliminate it. Not without breaking basic Windows functionality. That's not a bug, that's the business model.